Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to show a quick video today on our process for canning cherries. So we went picking cherries at a local farm the other day. They had sour cherries, pie cherries, tart cherries, whatever you want to call them. And then they also had like the typical, here we get them from Washington, which I'm not quite sure why, but in the grocery store you'll see Washington cherries that are the dark, I think they're called Bing cherries. They're sweet cherries. So they had those too. And they were $1.25 a pound. We picked 28 pounds total. We're giving some of them away, but we canned up 14 quarts. So I thought I'd just show you that process real quick. It's super simple. It's something you can do even if you find them, marked down at the grocery store or whatever. So I canned the sweet ones. You'll see in this video, you can just kind of squeeze and the pit will pop out. And so it's easy to can them without the pits. And then whenever you open this jar, it's just canned in a light syrup. You can thicken it, sweeten it, make it into a pie filling, but it takes up less space to do it this way, and it's a whole lot quicker. So I would rather deal with 1 quart at a time, turning it into pie filling, personally. The sweet cherries are a lot harder to pit. I have a cherry pitter where you like push on the button on the top and it will pit them, I don't know. Anyway, it's broken. So we did not pit the sweet cherries. We canned them with the pits still in them, and that's completely fine. It's a reasonable way to do it. Now for those ones, what we're mostly going to be using them for is in like a fruit salad, something like that. And so when I pull a jar out, then I will squeeze them, and since they're already cooked, they're softer. Oh, I've got a bug. Anyway, they're softer, and so you can just squeeze them and the pits will come out at that point. So I'm showing you, I think I recorded the tart cherries where we did pit them, but just know whenever I show the end and the 14 quarts together, the ones that are darker do still have the pits in them. You get less cherries per jar because they don't squish together because they have that pit holding them up. But they're still going to be good for what we're using them for. It gets them processed quickly and onto the shelves. So let's get started. So you can see right here, we are just pitting the cherries. I had my son helping do that. He was a little slower than I would be, but we were getting it done. You could just squeeze the cherry and watch the pit pop out. And then we were just gonna go ahead and put them into the jars, filling them up as full as we could get them before we moved on to putting the syrup on them. And so the simple syrup here was 6 cups of water to 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and we doubled it for this batch. I ended up making just a little bit more as well. So once they were all packed into the jars, then you're just going to ladle that simple syrup over the cherries. Aren't they pretty? So beautiful. So you're going to ladle it till it's mostly full. A couple ladles, you can see there, it got all the way up there. You're leaving about a 1/2 inch headspace, but then you have to go around it and remove any bubbles. You can see it does break some of the cherries, but for a pie or something, it'll be fine. And you can watch the level there of the simple syrup going down, and you're going to then top it up with some more just so that it is at about a 1/2 inch headspace before they're ready to process. And we're going to go ahead and do this with all 7 jars that are going to go into the water bath canner here in a few minutes. So then we're going to be just going around and wiping all of the rims really carefully with a wet rag, and this is just going to remove any kind of sugar residue or anything that would prevent the jars from sealing. And you can also feel as you're going around there to make sure there's no chips or cracks in the rim of the jar. And then we'll just top them with the bands and lids. We just tighten them finger tight, and then into the water bath canner they go. And then we will be just adding water to cover, and then they'll be ready to process. You want to make sure that there is enough over them that as it boils, it's not going to boil away and leave the top of the lid exposed. Then you're just going to turn on the stove and put on the lid, which I did clean this lid after I filmed this clip. It was pretty dirty from being out in the garage, but we're going to put that on there and wait for it to come to a boil. And then once it comes to a full rolling boil like you see right here, you're going to set your timer for 25 minutes and let it boil, and then turn it off and let it sit for about 10 minutes before you remove the jars. And then once you pull them out, then you're just going to let them sit for about 24 hours, and you'll start to hear them seal, that wonderful ping sound that all canners wait for. And I think they turned out so pretty. As you can see, the sweet cherries there are in the front, and then the pie cherries back behind. And I am really looking forward to having these for the winter. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.